Howdy YouTube, so it's time to try something a little bit different today. Now, I've been thinking about this today and I thought, hey, rather than sitting down for an hour and answering all these questions, I could actually make a bit of a video out of it. So, as you can see, this corner, we've got my computer screen. I'll be reading out some comments on the computer screen and answering them. So a lot of the comments are obviously not going to be questions, but I'll be doing my best to focus on the questions. This is totally off the cuff and just whatever comes to mind, so I'll do my best at answering all these questions. Okay, so we've got a question here on the U-Pole Raptor liner review. He's asking about PSI. I'm not sure about what the double-handed means. He might mean double header, which means two codes, one straight after another. The best setup is I've always just left the regulator at the wall flat out when I'm using a body deadener gun or a stone body schutz gun, stone guard gun, which is what we use for the Raptor liner. So yeah, just have that running flat out and just hammer it on. You got to hold that gun a fair bit back when you're using the body deadener gun, or else you can overload it quite easily, because the size of the tips on those things are quite big, so you can get a lot of material out quite quickly. So he's painting his Raptor liner on his Dodge Ram, and I wish to know the best set of combination for the truck. So yeah, just crank that pressure right up, man. Like, we've got big compressors, so if we can run our big compressors at full pressure with a body schutz gun, if you're doing it at home, most likely you will be if you're doing it yourself, just crank that pressure up as high as you can get it for that body schutz gun. Alright, let's move on. What have we got here? This is more of a, it's not really a question, good source of information, blah blah blah. What have we got here? See, a lot of these things will not all be questions, as I said. And I do thank everyone for the kind words, but I can't get back to everyone. That's one part of the reason I'm making this video, is because these days when I get home from work, sometimes I'm just knackered, like on the hot days especially, and I just want to go home, chill out on my bed, look at some shit on my phone, and play some video games. I've actually been playing Battlefield 1 lately, so if anyone's been playing any PC games and wants to add me on Steam or Origin, I'll put my usernames over the side of the screen. Add us up and we might be able to play a couple of games together. In America you call it clear code. Thanks for just ordered. Yep, that's a very highly recommended gun, the winner. Okay, now this is a comment on my Finish Line spray gun review. It's not one of the best guns out there. It's got a fair few views on it, about 20,000, and I did about 4 videos on that. The first 3 videos I wasn't really too impressed with it, but by the time I got to the 4th video I started to get that thing dialed in, and there goes StarCraft. You can get some good finishes out of it, but it's HVLP, and HVLP can be a bit of a pain in the ass. So it's definitely not one of the best guns on the market. Value for money, definitely not. You could get yourself an FLG5, and that's a HVLP, they say, Transtech, but it's, to me it's more just a Transtech cap. So you get much better finishes out of the things like the FLG5. And I know that in America, I don't know how common they are over there, but I know you can get them from spray guns direct shipped over to America. Okay, it took me 5 months to convince my boss of doing that method. Yeah, he's talking here on that how to mask a car with using paper compared to plastic. So his boss is probably, by the sounds of it, a bit more old school, and I definitely agree that masking with plastic is a lot quicker, especially these days in the production shops when you got to get as many numbers done as you can. I used to mask all my jobs with paper, and it got to the point where I'd moved to a new shop, and the foreman, he said, you got to mask with plastic, and I'm like, no, okay, no worries. Like, I didn't have any choice in it. I just started a new shop. You got to fit in, you got to do what the bosses tell you. I had to start to learn how to mask with plastic, and now I absolutely wouldn't look back. So I do have experience with masking with paper and plastic. Maybe sometimes on your prime ups, if you're doing like a batch of prime ups and you just got a small area that needs priming up, put a few pieces of paper around it, put your plastic on it. You can then rip that piece of plastic off and reuse it on the next one. Whereas if you cut your plastic out and then tape it down, then you've got a hole in that plastic, and the bits of tape can be a bit of a pain in the ass. Also, when using the infrared curing lights, it's handy to have some paper there so that you're not going to melt that plastic onto the panel. But yeah, apart from that, plastic is the way to go. Okay, so I've got a question here on the removable paint review that I did. How scratch and swirl resistant is this? Look, to be honest, I wouldn't say it's any better or worse than any other standard 2K clear. Although I did find it held a nicer gloss than what my solvent paints usually do. But yeah, it's just a 2K clear at the end of the day, as far as the halo effects clear goes. So move on to the next one. Yeah, look, about that big run that I did a run for an apprentice a few years ago, and I showed you guys how to put a bit of filler in over the top of the run and block it down, and by the time that the filler's gone, the run should be gone. And you are right that there will be a bit of a flat spot there. It's like the car that I did it on was a 90s Corolla or 80s Corolla. The woman was probably like an 80-year-old who just had this car from brand new. And yeah, I know if it was a brand new Porsche, you wouldn't even think about it, although you would still possibly get rid of the run using the filler trick, but then continue blocking it down a bit more and then repaint it. It is a handy thing to use, but you just like everything, it's horses for courses. Like, I get a few people throwing me a little bit of hate about doing that trick, and I'm like, well, whatever, you know. Not too much. Like, most of these comments that I do get on my videos, I would say 99% are all positive. You get the occasional idiot. I don't even bother deleting their comments anymore. I used to, unless it's a personal attack. Like, if you start personally attacking me, I've got no time for that. You'll just get blocked and deleted. Any idea of the T1, if the T110 AirCat will work on the Techno Pro Lite US version? I would say 99% it would have to, because as far as I know, it's exactly the same gun. So it would work on your Techno Pro Lite, although I can't say 100% from experience that it does. But yeah, the Techno Pro Lite and the GTI Pro Lite are basically the same gun. They've been rebranded for the American market as a Techno. Personally, don't really know why. I think the GTI is a good brand and it should be a global brand personally, but that's up to Developers America to make. Hi, I'm sorry, he looks like a blues. That was about Moses wearing his Standox suit. So yeah, I think that's a pretty funny comment there. Love the vids, always appreciate the mention of, yeah, thank you. Awesome giveaway, congrats to the winners. What would you say I need to look for in a small gun to clear coat carbon fiber? I make a lot of carbon fiber and have to send it out for clear coat. Okay, when it is for part, I sell to get a quality part for a customer, but I do want to do work on my own bikes and parts for my own use. That was a little bit tricky to read, but yeah, at the end of the day, man, go the ANI R150. You won't get a better gun than that in the minigun market, I don't think. As I said, that the lid on the pot is a little bit of a pain in the ass. Like my current one is starting to get a little bit even harder to turn on. To be honest, when you're getting a gun of that quality for around $120 to $150, can't go wrong. It's not HVLP, so it doesn't leave you with a lot of orange peel or anything. So hopefully you're watching this video and you get your answer, because I literally can't be stuffed. Like, what I've just read through there, if I was to answer all those questions, there would probably be 15 and 20 minutes worth of just typing answers in. So this guy Aaron, he's been around for quite some time, just asking, not miniguns, repainting my car in a couple of months and in the year 3 years to come. I'm after some advice on what full size gun would you recommend and what tip size, around $400. So if you can justify spending that little bit more on a GTI Pro Lite, it's still my #1 gun, and if I was to redo my top 10 full size guns, I would still leave it in #1. I've recently gone back to using it for clear all the time now and absolutely love it again. So yeah, look, it's one of those things. I get daily use out of it multiple times every day. If you're just a guy that's sitting at home and you want to do a respray on your car and you're not going to use it every day, I personally wouldn't recommend it to you. You could get something like the FLG5, which I mentioned before, in comparison to the FLG4. So FLG5 or GPI, it's a little bit higher quality. So the GPI is basically the GTI Pro. It's like a no frills version of the GTI Pro, and that doesn't come in 1.3 out of the box, so you'll have that in a 1.4. So I will warn you to just wind that fluid in a little bit more. I found 2.5 turns out, and that's what I was setting Moses up with when he bought that gun off me. And when he was winding it out that little bit more, he was getting a couple of runs. So I just dialed it right in, sort of like a training wheels type thing. But for your base coat, wind it out a bit more. If you have it 2.5 turns out for your base coat, you probably find it's not enough, isn't coming out. But for clear coat, just wind it in that little bit more. Again, the weather will play a big part in the gun setup. I found, like, for an experienced painter, you can probably just leave the gun set the same, and you can sort of apply it that little bit different, speed up a little bit or slow down, move a little bit closer or further apart. But yeah, like if you're not as experienced, I would say on the colder days, colder weather, wind that fluid in a little bit just so you're not overloading the material and you're not going to get runs. Also, if you have too much material out, you will get runs, but you can obviously also get orange peel too, because you're getting too much material on there. Well, you go too far the other way. If you wind it in too far, well then you just get sort of like a dry orange peel. So the other way around. Anyway, we'll move on from there. What else have we got here? Are there aerosols available for the halo effects? I don't think so. Yeah, look, plastic dip is crap. This is a comment on the removable paint on the halo effects. I'm not a big fan of the plastic dip. I found it terrible stuff to work with. It was really expensive over here in Australia, and what you get out of it is a surface that is just about uncleanable. We did it on a friend's four-wheel drive bonnet, and yeah, he went out four-wheel driving, and I saw the car a couple of weeks later, and it was just covered in red mud, the West Australian desert all over his bonnet, and you just can't get it off, and it just looks terrible. You know, we would have had that bonnet painted in a matte black finish that would be cleanable for less than what it ended up costing us to use that plastic dip. So something that you got to keep in mind, you know, is it even going to be cheaper and better for you? And then when it comes time that he wants it to be white again, would buzz it down and put some cheap Nason on it, you know. So yeah, that's my thoughts on it. But I do like that halo effects. I like the fact that you can get a nice gloss finish out of it, and I really still think that where it shines is in the paint protection. So if you get a brand new car and you just want to keep that car looking real like the original factory paint on it, because having good factory paint is obviously a good selling point to a car. So if you buy yourself a new car and then you can go and put your halo effects over it, and then 3 to 5 years later down the track, peel it off, and then you've got yourself basically a brand new car, the paintwork underneath anyway. Keep moving on. This is on the Airguns AZ3 review. Haven't had a comment on that for a while. I'm looking at buying a mid-grade gun as I start my journey in auto painting. I've come to a crossroad with these guns. I want Airguns AZ3 and the DeVilbiss FLG 670. What gun would be better, as I'd be using the gun for all three stages of painting? Pain in the ass with having to clean the one gun in between, but I've not the cash to dull out 4 separate guns at the moment. Again, AZ3 is okay for primer. I don't have mine anymore. I sold it when I moved over to Thailand. But the fan's a little bit small on it, so I've never used it for anything but primer. Although I would imagine it would be a bit of a pain in the ass trying to paint with it, because that fan is just that little bit too small. I would say having a small fan on a gun is probably one of the worst things. Depending on how small it is, it's probably one of the worst things you can get on a gun, because if it's too big, you can always just wind it in, obviously, but if it's too small, you can't wind it out. You can usually adjust your fluid settings and your air pressure settings to get a good finish out of it, but if that fan is too small, like that that gun that I did that review on, it was the Binks Trophy Series. Terrible gun. It ended up, I gave that to one of the panel beaters for a 1K primer gun. It's useless for anything else, I think so anyway. So yeah, FLG 670. So I think that is the SGK. Oh no, that's the FLG4. So again, I'd stay away from that one, man, especially if you're not experienced. It's HVLP and they can be a pain in the ass. You need a lot of pressure behind them. So I've explained this in some other videos. High volume, low pressure. If you think about it like this, it's you got your hose, right? You have a high volume coming out. If you just turn your hose on, you've got a high volume of water coming out, and it's coming out at a relatively low pressure. If you put that finger over the hose, then the pressure is going to be greater, but it's going to be a lower volume because you're actually stopping some of that air, the water from coming out the end. And that's exactly what it's like with a spray gun. So if you look on your spray gun, you've got the air cap at the front of the spray gun, then you've got the holes either side, and then there's a couple around where the fluid tip is as well. So a HVLP gun will have larger holes that the air comes out. It's literally as simple as that. So I'd stay away from the FLG4. I'd go for the FLG5. Even ANI F150, the full size gun, but I have found that they like to chew up a fair bit of air as well. Like that thing pumps the paint out quite nice at 3 bar, and if you're at home with a smaller compressor, it might be a bit of an issue. So FLG5, it's I got mine for $200 back in the day. I bought it just off eBay here in Australia, and yeah, again I did get rid of it because I didn't need it when I was moving to Thailand. As we move on, what have we got? Question is if this product will peel off just as easy after 1 year of hot cold weather. Now that's the same question I had to myself. I mean, I only left the product on for a couple of days, but what you do is you want to load that color up. So that's on the removable paint. That's another one on the halo effects. That video's been going quite well lately, so I'm getting a lot of comments on it. And so last I checked, it was at like 57,000 views. So with that, you want to get, and that is also why you want to use the 1.8mm fluid tip on it. So you want to get a lot of material out. 1.8 on your, even like a primer gun type thing. Get a lot of that base down, or get a lot of that real clear, I think they called it. A bit of a confusing name because clear is usually the top layer. So yeah, get as much of that as you can on. A few people have told me 8 to 10 coats, so the more you put on the better really, and then you put your clear coat on top of that and you should be right with removing it. Although they have told me that they have some sort of things to help you get it off later down the track. I guess a water blaster could definitely help, you know, if you get most of it off but you can't get the edges off, you just get a high pressured water cleaner, gurney, and blast the rest of it off. If it still doesn't come off, supposedly they have some sort of a solvent that you can spray on and then remove it that way. So if you do get to the point that you can't get it off, well then just get back in contact with your local distributor of the halo effects. Here we go. I got my ANR R150 minigun from your reviews, and when I first tried it, loved it from the start. Thanks Gunman. Those videos of reviews really helps. And there you go. So that's the kind of feedback that keeps me going and making these videos, because I actually am helping a lot of people out. At the end of the day, that's what I'm in it for. Yeah, I mean, I make a couple of bucks off it from the ad revenue, and also get a few freebies, but that's it was never focused on getting free stuff at the start. Like I started this 2013, and I bought every single gun to review for 2 years. I never even got in contact with anybody, and I still never have asked anybody for free stuff. So they've always been the ones to get in contact with me. The way I always saw it is, you know, you make an impact on the industry, get your own name out, and they'll come to you. And we'll move on. I think it's way overrated or overhyped. This is about All Candy Wet Clear review. I don't think it's any better from any better Pro Form or Matrix or SPI. So you're probably right. I mean, yeah, I thought it was a pretty good clear. I'd rate it as a good clear. I wouldn't rate it as a bad clear, but yeah, that's entirely up to you at the end of the day. It doesn't really faze me. can you please try this product using a LVLP gun? I haven't seen it done before. A lot of DIY guys in the US don't have access to large compressor and LVLP gun, and small compressor is easier to come by for a lot of people. Thank you. That's for doing the halo effect. So I've no doubt you'd be able to do it. And at the end of the day, you could use LVLP, HVLP, or conventional. It's mainly about the fluid tip size when you're using that halo effects, as I just mentioned before. So you just want to make sure you're using 1.8, even 2 mil. I got no doubt that 2 mil would work, but I did try it with my 1.3 mil, and it just wasn't coming out. Like, enough material wasn't really coming out. So just smash it on whatever air cap you've got, should be fine. So you sounded the clear or the base coat. That was on how to get mirror finish paintwork. So basically what I did was flow coat a tonneau cover. There was a tiny little bit that I put a tiny little bit of base coat on. That was the reason we're actually painting it. But for the rest of it, it was basically a flow coat. So yes, I sanded the clear coat down with some 600 grit from memory. Just a couple of years ago, pushing my memory now. Tiny little bit of base coat, and then just clear coated. So it's just flow coating, and I do have another video that goes a bit more into detail on how to do flow coating. As we move on, I couldn't understand that one. Not to worry, Moses, my first clear coat over white was mostly on the floor. Keep up the great work, guys. Yeah, I mean, that wasn't even on the Moses video. No, that's okay. Your videos are by far the best. 3 videos before I go to sleep. I spray paint on planes, but I never owned my own setup of my own. There you go, just another person letting me know that I've helped them. And that's another thing that I think is great about me making these videos is I've had a lot of people just say, you've reinvigorated my passion for the trade, and if that's all I can do, my job's done. That's where I see it. You know, it really gives me a bit of a kick to know that I can sort of help people out and make their life better and make them push to be the best they can be, you know. Include, please, Russian subtitles. Okay, my answer to this one is, if you know anybody that, well, you're Russian obviously, if you know anybody that speaks English fluently, I would actually ask you to get them to translate it into Russian. Now, there is a way that we can put subtitles onto my videos, and I might even have to start including that link in the description down below. So I would actually like to open my videos up to more people. So if we can, yeah, get the community together and start, yeah, people that can understand certain languages and English, start to translate my videos and put subtitles in. That'd be really cool. The Google can do it, but they charge you like $20 or so per video, and I just can't justify that. Time to upgrade my SRI. Great demo, thanks. Congrats to the winners. A jet wash should help getting the paint off. Yep, as I just mentioned before. Looking to buy my first spray gun. I'm an intermediate sprayer, but never had a chance to use a gun for spraying cars. Can you give any suggestions on guns to look at or what to look for? I'll possibly start by painting individual parts and then moving up to cars. Thanks a lot. So yeah, I'd highly recommend, if you've got the money to get yourself an FLG5 and get yourself one of those ANI R150s. So they're both reasonably priced options. Again, they're good for air consumption. So the minigun, if you're going to start doing some smaller parts, if you want to do some wheels, and as I've sort of demonstrated in other videos, the ANI R150, the fan is still big enough that I've painted bumper bars with it, and it totally has no dramas painting a couple of panels here and there. Personally, wouldn't want to go and do a whole respray. It'd just take too long, and especially if I have big guns there, I just wouldn't even consider it. But yeah. All right, let's keep moving. Yeah, maybe I was a bit hard on the Star Evo T, but that was just so irritating. So this is to that Russian guy on the top 8 mini spray gun. It got 8th position. Maybe it should have gone in above the Finex, but hey, you know, I made the decision, and I guess you can make your own video and put it in a better position at the end of the day. I always miss these contests anyways, so yeah, just didn't quite make it in time. It's all good, we'll be doing more in the future. How does this stuff hold up on lack of fixing imperfections in paint such as rock chips or fisheye holes? Well, supposedly, so that's the gain on the removable paint. Supposedly what happens is the clear coat will act as sort of like a sacrificial layer, and when I was peeling that halo effects off, when it got to the part that had been sanded, the base stuck, but then the clear actually peeled off over the top of the base coat. And what the guy from Halo Effects was telling me is that if you get like a couple of stone chips or chips in your bonnet, you can actually just peel your 2-pack clear layer off and then re-clear it without actually having to recolor it. It might not go down as easy as that in practice, but that's what they say anyway. But as far as how it will hold up against stone chips, it will probably, it will just be as good as any other 2K clear. It's not like some miracle cream or anything. It's still going to get chipped if your stone chips are going to hit it. So moving on. Painted my first entire car yesterday in 2K straight red, no lacquer. There were runs and stupid splash from the vent hole. I haven't been back to look at it today, too bummed out. How long should I leave the 2K to cure before attempting this? Thanks in advance. So the longer the better, really. If you got some sort of heat lamps, that'd obviously help. But one thing I have actually found, so that was on how to remove a paint run. One thing I've found is that just mixing the filler itself, mixing the filler with the hardener, it actually generates heat. We mixed some up the other day, and I've got my little temperature gauge. We clocked that at 98 degrees. That is stinking hot, like nearly 100 degrees Celsius. So that will actually, you mix your filler up, you put it in there, and the fact that the filler is getting so hot, that will actually help cure that run out a little bit. So look, leave it a couple of days, depending on how big they are, depending on the size of the runs and your experience. You can use razor blades. A lot of the time I do just use razor blades, and that's what, like, some people, they come and watch this video and they tell me, oh no, you should use razor blades, the best way to do it. And they think that because they've seen me doing this, that's the only way that I ever get rid of runs. Well, it's not. Like, I do know how to use tungstens and razor blades. Horses for courses. Like, that run was way too big to even consider using razor blades on. You would have chipped it and scratched it and stuff. And tungsten, it was beyond a tungsten. It needed that filler trick. I still remember the first time I tried that filler trick. I was told about it from a tradesman of mine. And I looked at this run and I'm like, I'm going to have to repaint it anyway. I may as well, and then I'm like, hey, that guy told me about this trick. I thought, I may as well try it. Like, what's the worst thing that can happen? I'll repaint it anyway. And I was blown away. I was like, wow, it actually worked, and it worked really well. Because I knew that in theory it should work, because you're protecting, so like, let's just say this is your high spot. You're protecting either side of it from cutting through as you cut down, and when your filler's gone, the run should be gone. And it works a treat. But yeah, horses for courses, like, you know, commercial vehicles, old cars, that's fine. And as I say, even if you are to repaint it, it can still actually help you get that flat panel again anyway. How to maintain this in use when washing car. So that's on the plastic tip. It's garbage. Don't even use it. Stay away from it. Wait for a proper flash off and you won't get runs. Yeah, cool. Easier said than done. That's not the topic of conversation. Topic is we've already got the runs, you know, and anyone that tries to say that they don't get runs is just a load of shit, full of shit, and some sort of a hero. I was always told if you don't get a run every now and then, you're not trying hard enough. Real lucky, hope you guys paint some shit. Yep, we always do, man, that's what we do. Painted lots of shit today. This is the kind of stuff I did many years ago in custom shop. Yeah, I mean, I get a little bit of hate on me sort of doing those airbrushing things. I had fun doing it. That was me on my Saturday. I wasn't getting paid for it. I was there having fun, just getting the stencils out and sort of bombing me toolbox up. A couple of people calling me a hack and saying that you're not artwork. That's not artwork. That's just crap. But good on you. If you enjoy it, well then that's great. As we move down, I can't read that language, whatever it is. I think it's Filipino or something, but yeah, let's keep moving. I'm seriously glad that R150 took the top spot. Yep. Well, that would be a good purchase for you anyway. Congrats to the winners. Okay, so lots of these comments on the winning. Okay, well, what are we up to now? Shit, that's 30 minutes. Okay, I think we'll call that a video, guys. Let us know if you did enjoy it and if you'd like to see this kind of video a bit more often. But sometimes, as a YouTube creator, you just get a bit bored of doing the same thing, so you got to think of ideas to change it up. And this was definitely something different. First time I've done this, so yeah, hope you enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up if you did. Leave a comment down below, and yeah, see you in the next one. Coming out.